Let's see, make sure. Oh, there we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. uh, it's time for a new day of Saturday sentiments, and I'm glad to be here always to share with you all. And as usual, I'm listening to my gospel jazz radio. Dr. Tony, how are you doing? Happy New Year, sir. Good to see you. And I'm enjoying your posts on the call to worship. So keep up the good work. uh, yeah, Dr. Tony's got a great ministry going on there. And today it's kind of a special day. I'm going to be talking about reflecting on what I call my teenage midlife crisis at 17. Now that I'm 50, going on 51, a little later this month. So it's interesting. There's a lot of stuff behind it, but I'm gonna go ahead and I gotta show my little mug for today. This is it's got some cool little piano keys on there, which I really dig. So that was a gift to me some years ago from my church in New York. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get in this, see what's going on here. Actually, before I do, there's something I wanted to share also. There's a post that I discovered. Thank you. And this was from actually 6 years ago on January 9th, 2015. This was something that I posted on my personal page, and it was about Mr. Andre Crouch, who was a tremendous talented songwriter in the gospel world and pioneer in his own right. So this is what I wrote. I said, R.I.P., or rest in peace, to the great gospel singer, songwriter, pianist, and pioneer, Andre Crouch. What an impact. What a legacy. What an inspiration to me personally and countless others all over the world. My personal challenge and challenge to all of us that are still here from the scriptures: go and do likewise. Pursue a vision from God. Blaze a new musical trail. Push the envelope. Make enduring, life-changing art whose impact will long outlive you. In so doing, we will honor the memory of this legendary musical and cultural icon. It's good stuff, huh? So yeah, that was worth a repost. So I put it up again. But that was what I was thinking about 6 years ago on January 9th. Now today, a little background. I have always, since as long as I can remember, I've been a very reflective person. Always spent a lot of time in thought, dreaming about how things could be, how I would like them to be, sometimes fantasizing, and the truth is sometimes it's been hard for me to relate to the world of it is what it is, or so-called realism. So, it has its pluses and minuses. But one of the pluses that I believe is when this mindset of being a dreamer or visionary or something, when it's used for good, minds, hearts, and spirits like mine can help people to see beyond what is there to what could be, and even sometimes what should be. To see not just what's most urgent, but what's most important. I don't know if I have any of you out there that are like that, that share my kind of mindset or temperament. But if you do, I just want to encourage you that you're not alone. And it's all right that the Lord made you that way for a reason. So with that as a backdrop, let me share my story. And I wrote a bunch of stuff down, so y'all forgive me. I'm looking down at my notes and stuff, but I don't want to do a lot of stumbling and fumbling and stuff, because Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that, right? So here's the thing. I did a lot of things early in my life. I blew into a tenor sax for the first time when it was taller than me, and it probably sounded terrible. But my dad had rented one, and I was fascinated by it. So I tried to blow as hard as I could. My mom says that I used to take, when I was about 3 years old, I used to take coat hangers and tie rubber bands around them and strum them and sing. And so that's what gave them the idea to give me guitar lessons when I was 4. And I actually stuck with it for about 6 years. The other thing is I wrote my first song, at least that I can remember, when I was 6. I what do you call it? It was called Carnival Day. And I actually still remember it now. I probably will share it one day. But I skipped over kindergarten. I started first grade when I was 5. I skipped over 4th grade. I started 5th grade when I was 8. It was really hard. Middle school when I was 10. High school when I was 12. College when I was 16. Lord have mercy. And not just any college, y'all. I was Brown University, and that was, woo! That was no joke. Hey there, how y'all doing? Yeah, that was no joke, for real, for real. So here's the thing. I mean, I thought I was pretty hot stuff back then, but then that freshman year hit. And honestly, I was used to things coming relatively easy for me. So I never really had to toil over academics, and I could still do reasonably well. But Brown University was different because, listen, y'all, everybody there was hot stuff. People were like, valedictorians, salutatorians of their class of hundreds of kids and stuff. So everybody there had it going on, So, and then what was even worse in retrospect was that I was attempting to major in biochemistry, which is a wonderful profession, and folks who do it, God bless you, I don't know if I've got Dr. Moshe on the line there. If we do, hello, good sir. He's an actual physician who has excelled at that, and I definitely salute him for all of that. But for me, whew, and the crazy thing is, being the reflective person that I've always been, I had a plan from when I was little. I was going to major in biochemistry. I was going to work in a lab. I was going to conduct experiments all day. And my long-term goal is I was going to find a useful purpose for weeds. The weeds are not that kind of weed. The weeds that grow up out of the ground that you always, consider a nuisance, all that stuff. I was going to find a purpose for them because they were so plentiful and abundant everywhere that I figured that would be an incredible breakthrough to the world and a major contribution. So listen, that's not going to happen for me now. But if any of you want to take that idea, I still think it's a great idea. So if you have the scientific know-how or something, go ahead and run with it. Just remember where you heard it. All right. So back to the story. So I had the intellectual capability to handle the subject matter, but just not the motivation. Classes like calculus 1 and 2, advanced chemistry, genetics, they just were not doing it for me. So I did terribly my freshman year. Out of 8 classes over 2 semesters, I only passed 3. So I stayed after the second semester ended, stayed up there trying to finish an incomplete class to at least make it 4, but I never did. I didn't do the work. I didn't finish the work. I went home for the summer, hoping I could come back and finish either sometime later in the summer or the beginning of next year. Thing is, I received a letter, and I'll never forget July 6th, 1987. Woo! Talk about a day that will live in infamy. Um, I received a letter from the university that changed my life. It said I had been dismissed for academic reasons. Guess why? After a year's time, a year, y'all, I was 17 when this happened. I'd have the ability to reapply, but I was not allowed to attend classes in the fall. Y'all, I still had stuff up there in storage for the next year. I had a couple of buddies and we were going to have a suite together. We had a whole plan for sophomore year. It went down the drain completely. So it was terrible. I mean, I laugh now because like I said, I'm reflecting back and it was a long time ago. But at the time, it was a disaster. And I literally did not know what to do. You know, I was devastated. My parents were devastated. My church was devastated because they had sent me there, and just all the prayers, all the encouragement. Oh, we're so proud of you, Richard. La 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 la. Man, I cried. I got angry. Folks cried. They got angry. I tried to appeal. I tried to do all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, I had to bring my head out of the clouds and accept that that was my reality. Whew. Any of you young people, especially if you happen to be watching this, if you go through this, and even not so young people, if you find yourself at this kind of a crossroads, I just want you to be encouraged. And, if there's nothing else you could take from my story, just know if it could happen to me, it could happen to you. And if it can happen for me, meaning reflectively, that whole thing can turn around, it can happen for you. So I want you to be encouraged. All right. So there were all kinds of suggestions that came up. Join the army, go into the ministry, get a job in civil service, all kinds of stuff. Mind you, I was still 17, so with certain things, it was just like, come on now. So my parents kind of decided for me that I was going to go to school just, back in New York. And so I applied to LIU, which is Long Island University in the Brooklyn campus, and I went there for a year. And basically, that was all about trying out all kinds of stuff. Man, I took everything. I took philosophy, I took business law, I took calculus again, I took music theory class, I took computer science. Actually, everything that I took, I did well in. I was kind of like hot stuff again. I was like, hey, all right, that's cool. And so let me tell you all this, and this is as one who has been to some of the top universities in the world. Although the school is great, it's the students that make the school what it is. So just because you go to blah, 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 it's not the school that does it. It's the students that do it. Okay? And I hope, and Dr. Tony, you know exactly what I'm saying. So, so I was if I do say so myself, I was a quality student, so I could do some things. But it's just, when I came there, the expectations were just different. So I was like, okay, cool. But so the thing is, it kind of lulled me into kind of a false sense of confidence. I'll say more about that later. But probably one of the only things that did go well my freshman year at Brown was the gospel choir. It was called Voices of Inspiration. And, even though I just got there and I was 16, I was super young, I became the main musician for that choir. They came to kind of really depend on me. I wrote a bunch of songs and, I had to learn how to play songs in every key because we'd have these little devotion things and, people would be singing whatever key they started and I had to just try to follow them. So that went really well, actually. I didn't know that that was going to be a portend of things to come. At that time, it was just something extra I was doing on the side of my academics. So, you know, during that year that I took off, I was playing for the gospel choir at my church again, the young people's chorus. And I actually went back to Brown just to play for their gospel choir concert in the fall and the spring. You know, it's, hey, how you doing? Doing all right. It's embarrassing, you know. But So that part was going really well. And even though I only took one music theory class, just a real basic one at LIU, I did well in it. But what was happening is I was practicing like crazy. You know, they had these little practice rooms in the basement. And I used to go there, even on my off days, and just sit there for hours, just playing. And I come back to the house, just playing, working on my playing. And, you know, my ear developed incredibly. And so did my piano playing and my songwriting. So I didn't know that those things were going to be as important as they are now. But those were some formative years. So, you know, so this was a time of a lot of upheaval, of a lot of confusion. And I had heard of people talking about, you know, you go through your midlife crisis when you get to be in your middle years and stuff. And I was like, well, this kind of feels like a midlife crisis for me right now. Because again, like I said, I was always doing stuff early. So I was like at a serious crossroads. But I thought I had found the answer. Emphasis on I thought. Because, you know, when you're young and you know a whole lot of stuff, but you don't really know, but you think you know, you know, I did really well in computer science there, right? I got A's in the class and stuff. And the teachers were like, oh, this is a great day. I held my thing up in front of the class and stuff. So I was like, okay, I got an idea. You know, programming is kind of like music, you know, so I can I can design computer programs and I could do that because I always like to be by myself and whatever. I could do that and you know, and I could do music on the side, you know, because, you know, I was feeling like people always told me, well, you got to have a real job. You can't, you know, you can't do music as a career and it's not stable. It's this and that and the third, you know, and I didn't have any professional musicians in my family who were like making a living at it to even be able to refute what they said, to know that this was actually possible, you know, except for like remote superstars that I had heard of, but I didn't know anybody. So, you know, I was kind of like, I don't know, I was a fish out of water. So, you know, fast forward a little bit to coming back, because I told you I still had to do so 17 into 18. When I came back, fortunately, the school did let me come back in. At 18, I had to take that year. And I was able to, you know, take my classes. I didn't do as badly in computer science as I had done in the biochemistry classes, but it was still pretty bad. And it was dramatically different at Brown than it was at LIU. Sorry, y'all. It is what it is. But yeah, it was hard. Oh, and I did awful. Computer science, assembler, for those of you old programming heads that know what that means, discrete math. My wife will always tease me about that. And calculus again. Oh, it was killing me. So anyway, when I finally declared a major, because I even tried to declare, Brown allows you to declare an independent major. And you don't have to do it until the end of your sophomore year. So I was trying to design an independent major that was going to be music related, but I can't even remember what the topic was. But do you know that the committee on academic whatever, you know, told me, well, in their response, you know, you will have to take these classes and you'll have to create this reading list and these books and so on and so on. Y'all, I kid you not. Yes, amen on the math. Some of this stuff literally did not exist yet. And I told y'all, I have always kind of seen stuff that's just not there yet. And it's hard sometimes because I can see it just like it's the nose on my face. But it's just people have a hard time with people like me sometimes because it's like, what are you talking about? So long story short, I didn't do the independent major. I wound up just doing the regular Brown University music major. But the one exception was I decided to major in ethnomusicology, which is a specialty within that major. Most of the people did music theory and composition, which had a very strong white Western classical European, influence. The other one was music history, same thing, just history instead of like theory and composition. And then ethnomusicology, which was basically everything else. That's the one I chose because although I had heard Brahms and Beethoven, all these folks, I didn't grow up on it. I grew up on Black people's music, gospel, jazz, R&B, that kind of stuff, rap. That's what I grew up on. So that's what I knew, and so when it came to a major in music, I wanted to be able to specialize in things that were a little more familiar to me. And I liked the approach that ethnomusicology offered, which is rather than to superimpose rules from an external source, which is sort of the Western way, this ethnomusicology was all about trying to understand music from the context of its culture, the culture that gave rise to it. And that's what I liked, because who am I to say how somebody else should play their music? I got to understand their culture and all that, that's what gives rise to the music. The two are inextricably tied. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's what I wound up doing. Another thing that happened, and I'm glad that she's on the line now, at the ripe old age of 17, which would change my life, is that I met the Reverend Makiba. And, I was 17, but I was fascinated by her. And I just, even then, as a young dude that didn't know a whole lot of stuff, I knew that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. And here we are, 27 years later, married, and 33 years knowing each other, so sweetie, cheers. So I told y'all this was a pivotal year. A lot of different things happened. So another thing was that I had a lot of catching up to do when I finally decided to do this music major. And then, but at least it was hitting something. It was resonating with something inside me. So I'm gonna tell y'all, because this is the whole process started at 17, but in a sense it kind of kept going to at least about 19, because this was like really redirecting my whole life path. I remember at in the year 1990, I was 20 by then, and I guess about a junior at Brown, and I had read this book called The Platinum Rainbow by a guy named James Reardon, and I don't know if the book is still around or whatever, but that book was really important to my development. It was a music industry book, and there are thousands of them out there now. That talked about copyright, talked about publishing, it talked about royalties, it talked about being a professional musician and all this stuff. And I was like, shoom, 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 reading the pages like, wow, oh, this is awesome. Wow, wow, ooh, I decided, I remember, always the reflective person, like I said, at that time, I remember writing on a piece of paper, on this day, so-and-so, 1990, I declare that I am a professional musician, like now, henceforth, forever, whatever I wrote. I may still have the piece of paper somewhere. But it was so important because it's like I connected with my purpose and what I was going to do. And, since she's on here, my now wife was very important in that too, because I was telling her, I just, I was struggling all this time. My whole life turned upside down. Two things I thought I was going to do, didn't do well on either one of them. So now I didn't even trust my own judgment, and I was doubting myself. I was, all kind of stuff. And so then I had this, like, what I felt like an epiphany moment to me. I was like, I'm going to do music. And she was like, duh. In other words, it's written all over you. And I guess in a way, it was kind of like a, snap out of it, dude. This is actually a path that has been prepared for you since you were 2 or 3 years old, when you think about it. And it's just been a consistent line. All the years of taking lessons, all the songs that you wrote, all the, just the crazy experiences that were unlike, anybody else. It was preparing you for what it is that you were supposed to do. So thank you again. Cheers. And, but it was so hard to accept because I didn't have any frame of reference. Nobody was doing what I was doing. Or what I would eventually be doing. So again, if anyone has that crisis moment, whether it's, in your young years, whether it's later, and it's like, I don't know what to do. I really, really don't know what to do. First thing, pray. Always pray. And seek, be still. Sometimes when you're busy doing a whole bunch of stuff, you can't hear very well. Or you're listening to a whole bunch of other people trying to tell you what to do. That's not always the best way to go. Sometimes you just have to sit in the stillness and just be quiet. Read scripture. Hi, Ma. Mom's on the line too. And, it's amazing the life-changing stuff that you can hear sometimes. So the thing is, let's see, this was, like I said, this was sort of like a continuum that started when I was 17 from about 1989. I was 19. That's how old my son is now. My goodness. I recorded my first album. It was a cassette. It was called The Saxophone Sings of Zion. And of course, I still have it. And I'm honestly, those were some good arrangements, even though, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know yet that I know now. And the recording capabilities were very humble. But that was part of its charm, and I thank all the people back then who bought my little humble offering. And maybe one day I'm hoping I can maybe re-record some of those songs and let y'all hear. In fact, By and By, that's one of my songs on my album right now. The first version of it I did on that thing way back then. So life in a way just kind of goes full circle. So I'll never be one of those people that practices revisionist history. In other words, like everything that happened before is no good. I'm just dealing with what's now. Nope. I practice green memories. I recycle everything. So yeah. Now you might be asking the question, because I put this in my post, that I was also going to be sharing the 23rd Psalm, and also sharing, the original version from when I was 13 years old. What does all that have to do with this? Well, I'm glad you asked. It has to do with guidance and direction, okay? Being led, specifically led by the Lord, okay? The 23rd Psalm, and one of these days I'm gonna actually just deal with the imagery in the 23rd Psalm, because, some years ago, my wife introduced me to this book called A Shepherd's Guide to the 23rd Psalm. Man, that thing was powerful. But that's going to be the subject for another day. But I do want to get into the song and share with you kind of what the connection is. So, just like, you have a whole bunch of sheep and they're all a little bit different. Some may have spots, some may be big, some may be small, some may be tall, some may be short. Each one of us is created for a specific reason, with a certain personality, with a certain temperament, that's all connected to why we're here and what we're here to do. And let me also add that it's never just to do for ourselves. Never. Okay? Because that's just not what creation is all about. We're not here just to please ourselves. We are here to do something for somebody else too. And in the doing is where we discover that our purpose, it will be confirmed. So for any of you who are also kind of wondering what to do, try doing something for someone else and see what happens. First of all, you'll feel better. But second, many times you discover things about yourself, things that you maybe didn't realize that you were good at, or things that just resonate with you deep down, like, wow, there's something that happens when I do this. And there's something that, oh gosh, I have a really, really negative reaction when I do this. So in both ways, I think that those are ways that the Lord kind of shows us, kind of what our path is supposed to be. Because we really couldn't handle it all at once, even if he told us, okay, I want you to do this year. When you turn 50, I want you to do this. When you turn 75, I want you to do this. But we could not handle all that. So we just got to give it to us, a little spoonful at a time. And we have to just keep walking. That's what faith is all about. We have to keep walking, and the path will gradually become revealed. But we got to take the step before we see what it's going to be. That's hard. But that's what faith really is. So then 23rd Psalm is also about being taken care of, okay, and being at peace, being at rest, knowing that the things that we need that are being addressed, are being taken care of. So and there's an assurance that comes from it. There's a that comes from that, even in the face of danger, even in the face of uncertainty, because sheep, I've never been a farmer, have no intention of becoming a farmer, but, sheep need a lot of attention. They're great, but they just need a lot of attention. And so that's why I believe this image of the 23rd Psalm is so powerful. And I feel like the whole Psalm is just kind of like reflecting on how nice it is to have everything taken care of that you ever need, and to be protected, and to just like, wow, I see all this stuff going on in here, but it's nice to know that I'm already, I'm taken care of. I am okay. So just know that for today, just know that we're all here for a purpose. All right. So I want to share this thing with you in its original form first. And I told y'all, I've always been a reflective person. So here's the backdrop. Okay. I was 13. I was already, in high school. I wrote this song with just a couple of chords I had learned from my choir director, Mr. Keith Branch. I don't know if he's on, but thank you, sir, for all that I learned from you. I took those couple of chords and I made a little song out of it. But the thing is, and we performed it, publicly for the first time, I think when I was 14. And the thing is, I was recording these songs and keeping them. That's why I still have them. And then when I was about 16, just before all this stuff happened, and I was reflecting back on 13 and 14, talking about, what the thing was like. So anyway, I recorded my commentary on the song too. So I wanted to share that with y'all. And and then I'll play some of the 23rd Psalm of Now that's on the CD, which I hope that you also will support. All right. So let me pause this, and then I'm gonna let you hear this. All right. So here we go. 23rd Psalm, taken from the 23rd Psalm of the Bible. I arranged this too. I'm singing here in Philadelphia with my sister Kim and my adopted sister Lisa Grady. Oh yeah, since I was a little younger then, I figured it must have been in about 83, because my voice was a lot higher, so I could sing a little bit higher, as you'll see in a moment. Okay, here we go. Humble beginnings, four chords. And then the lead part. All right. So then we went on to, surely goodness and mercy and all that stuff. Um, so, it was humble beginnings, but that was literally the groundwork for this song. Now, since then, I put a prelude to it, I put a postlude to it and all that stuff. And I'm not going to do the whole thing because I want y'all to buy the album, amen. But I'm going to give you a little taste. All right. So this is the prelude. And my New York pastor, Dr. Gary Simpson, did the spoken part on this. This is the 23rd Psalm from the Message translation.
God, my shepherd, I don't need a thing. You have bedded me down in lush meadows. You find me quiet pools to drink from. True to your word, you let me catch my breath and send me in the right direction. Even when the way goes through Death Valley, I'm not afraid when you walk at my side. Your trusty shepherd's crook makes me feel secure.
So same four chords, just a little fancier. All right, so here's when the song begins, right? Still hear the chords? Same key. Decided to repeat it bigger, right? Smell. Mr. Don Corey Washington. Doing a much better job than I did. Put a little ooh under it.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
we open it up to an I.
I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
Yeah, and then we went into the. I just harmonized it. Right. So that's, you see, I hope you can see now, it's the same song, same four chords, just, taking into account things that I learned from the time I was 13, 14 years old to much later. But then after all the song has come to a climax and stuff, then there's this postlude, which I think is probably one of my wife's favorite parts.
Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Yep. Can you imagine? Can you guess why it is that's one of her favorite parts? Yes, that is our son, Richard III, who was, I think he was 3 years old at that time, doing the little part. And that was one of the 23rd Psalm was one of the things that we taught him to say at night when we was going to bed. Just like probably many of us, but there was that assurance that we were being led, that the Lord was taking care of our every need way better than we could have. And y'all, no matter how modern we get, no matter how intelligent we get, no matter how in control or successful we get, let us never grow out of our need for God, or some people will call them higher power or whatever. But just may we never grow out of that, because that's not something that we will ever truly outgrow or outlive. There is always a need to put our minds on things that are higher and greater than us. And so, I encourage us to always do that, and to keep that mindset, because it's in that we find the strength to take steps for things that we can't quite understand, for things that we're afraid of. We're fearful to take a step because we don't know what's going to happen next. But you don't always have to know if you feel like there's one greater than you that is taking care of you, that has it all in control. You understand? So I hope that that is an encouragement to anyone who needs it. I definitely thank you guys for taking this walk down memory lane with me. It's been a lot of fun. And I'm thankful that although it was pretty rough back then, at this point in my life, when I guess, especially men are having their official midlife crisis, I feel pretty good. Maybe because I had mine already. But I'm very excited about what's going on right now. I'm delighted to have to have finally released this album. I am really excited about the stuff that's on the deck for this coming year. And I'm excited about all of you, some of you that I've just met recently or in recent years, and you've been very supportive of everything that I've done, and I really appreciate that. I'm glad to have, this time online, even though some people, see it as something that's terrible, like it's actually okay for me. I don't mind being by myself or being isolated for long periods of time. I was doing that anyway. Some say that the pandemic is the introvert's paradise because, we do what we do anyway. But whether or not that's always true, I think it's fine with me. And not that I don't want to go back to seeing people and being able to go places and having, engagements not be canceled. But for now, the Lord has been taking care of us. And I can truly say that after almost a year of this, So I'm grateful at the end of the day. So just like the song says, uh, he leads me in the path of righteousness. He restores my soul. You understand? Like when you're feeling like, oh, I just can't take another step, he restores your soul. All right. And that idea of like, prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You hear people talk about haters a lot and stuff now. They had haters back then too. But just imagine you're a defenseless sheep and there are wolves all around, but your shepherd is putting your food right there in front of you with the wolves present because the shepherd is standing there with his shepherd's crook and and he's like, okay, wolves, what you got? Come on. Go ahead and eat, little sheep. I got this. You understand? So that's the way that the Lord takes care of us, even in the midst of adversity. So even if you might be at a crossroads in your life, at a pivotal point where you don't know really what to do, just like I didn't, your world gets turned upside down because a door was closed that you didn't expect and it was devastating. Don't stop. Don't stop. Just look. That may very well be that very pivotal moment that the Lord has been looking to show you something that's important and life-changing. That's my story. That's it worked for me. And if it worked for me, I really believe it can work for you. So thank you guys again. It's been a lot of fun. I love these Saturday sentiments. There's some new music that's coming later on this month. I told y'all that the month of January is very special to me. I know that I'm going to have a very special birthday present on the 20th, but I'm also going to give myself one. But you got to wait till next week to hear more about that. All right. Or check the posts and stuff. So I don't want to give it all away yet, but just know this is going to be a special month. All right. So thank you guys. Dr. Tony, Dr. Moshe, thank you. My love, thank you. Sister Phyllis, thank you. Ma, Daddy, everybody else who's been watching on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day. About to go do a studio session and get ready for church tomorrow. This is going to be a full day, but I'm glad to have been able to spend this time with you. And I hope that and pray that this has been an encouragement to you. Feel free to look at it again or share it with anybody who might need a little word of encouragement, maybe a little fun, reflecting back on their earlier years, and seeing So when they talk about, my soul looks back and wonders how I got over it. Now I kind of understand a little bit more how songs like that get written. All right. Well, you all have a great day. I'm going to sign off now, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless. All right. Thank you.